Cal.
It's a good morning. I'm joined up here by Shelly Mull.
Hello.
Is this your first time co-hosting ever?
Ever.
Give her some encouragement. She's going to be amazing.
Thank you.
And we've got James Garden in the house. Now, you might notice that our sanctuary looks just a little bit different than what it typically looks like, and that is because Peppermint Creek Theater Company has been using our space for their production of The Minutes, which my husband and I saw last night, and it is a conversation starter. It was really good and a little mind-blowing, and there is one more opportunity to see it. It is today at 3 p.m., so if you don't have plans this afternoon, you should definitely consider coming back for that. I have a quick question for you. What is your favorite fall flavor? Salted caramel, pumpkin,
yes.
All of them. For me, I think it depends on if we're talking like baked goods or beverages, because that is very different.
Yes. I like a caramel apple. Can I have a caramel apple?
Yes, that is a fall flavor. I love caramel in my beverages. I like pumpkin in baked goods.
Yeah.
So that's how I wrap my head around that. All right, so we have a couple of songs for you this morning, and these are songs, you wrote them.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah, I wrote them.
And so we're going to have the lyrics up on the screen, mostly so that you can follow along. Don't feel like you have to sing along, although if you're feeling really adventurous, you could. And you're welcome to stay seated, or if you would like to turn this into a little bit more of a concert, then feel free to stand up. Really just do whatever makes you feel comfortable. And let's worship together.
Perfect. This first song is called Rhythm. Hey! Hold up, wait a minute, let me find my tempo. Who's up in here? Oh, I see my kinfolk. But doing my thing, now it's starting to feel simple. You know they get mad when it all start to click though. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. I think I found my well, this must be living my life with no limits. And this ain't a game, so I can't be living my life like a scrimmage. And you're hating it's lame, so I can't listen to none of your dissing. And I don't need your permission, and the drum that I live from is too different. Hey, hold up, wait a minute, let me find my tempo. Who's up in here? Oh, I see my kinfolk. But doing my thing, now it's starting to feel simple. You know they get mad when it all start to click though. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. I think I found my see, I'm back in my zone. Opportunity hit me back on my phone. Ring, ring, I'm on King Things. I'm out building a dream team. I'm gonna help build everything that is seen. And I never compromise from being green. Y'all don't even really understand what this thing means. It's way more than dope beats and rap lines. I'm trying to show y'all hope this world can't find. Hey, hold up, wait a minute, let me find my tempo. Who's up in here? Oh, I see my kinfolk. But doing my thing, now it's starting to feel simple. You know they get mad when it all start to click though. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found my rhythm. I think I found my. Hey. Hold on, wait a minute, let me find my tempo. who's up in here, oh, I see my kinfolk. Been doing my thing, now it's starting to feel simple. You know we get mad when it all starts to click though, click though, click though. It's a beautiful thing when you find that rhythm of life and you start moving. Well, when you start moving with God, the rhythm is really tight, you know? It's almost like God will quantize your life. If you don't know what quantize means, sometimes it's a little off, it'll just snap to the grid. That song's called Rhythm. Thank you, thank you. This next one, I hope you all felt this as you came in, but this one's just come as you are. Whatever you're bringing in, bring it in. We're here to worship together. We come in all shapes and sizes, different hues and different crews. I know some of them won't like us, but we gon' do what we gon' do. So let's push the doors wide open. You hear how the people is spoken, a different cloth that we're woved in. Now let's get the plan in motion. Look, you ain't gotta change a thing. You ain't gotta change a thing.
Just come as you are.
We ain't worried what they think. We ain't worried what they think.
Just come as you are.
You ain't gotta change a thing. You ain't gotta change a thing.
Just come as you are.
We ain't worried what they think. We ain't worried what they think.
Just come as you are.
Cause if you like it, I love it. Cause if you like it, I love it. I need more of it. I need more of it. Cause if you like it, I love it. I need more of it. Yeah, you're one of a kind. Don't listen to none of their lines. And then you're a masterpiece. If you're in a masterpiece all inside the gallery. Something would be missing if they didn't let you in. Cause no one can be you like you can. You ain't gotta change a thing. You ain't gotta change a thing.
Just come as you are.
We ain't worried what they think. We ain't worried what they think.
Just come as you are.
You ain't gotta change a thing. You ain't gotta change a thing.
Just come as you are.
We ain't worried what they think. We ain't worried what they
Just
think.
come as you are.
Cause if you like it, I love it. Cause if you like it, I love it. I need more of it. I need more of it. Cause if you like it, I love it. I need more of it. I need more of it. Thank you.
That was so fun. All right, at this time, kids, you can head on upstairs for Kids Creek. I just ordered more snacks for Kids Creek this week, so
Oh,
you know it's going to
you
be
got
a good
something
time.
to look forward to.
It's going to be a good time in Kids Creek.
And the rest of you, if you would like to look in your program for our connection card that's in there, fill out whatever you like. This is our way of getting to know you and being able to stay in touch with you. There's more on the back, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. All right, then you can pull out your phones. We can snap a selfie. This week, our selfie of the week is the Meninos. Look at Joe Jr. Woo, woo. All right, here's a selfie. All right, and then if you post that to your social media with the hashtag SCCMI, and you know your settings are on public or whatever, if I'm a friend of yours, then I'll see it. Or you can always send it to me on text or email or Facebook Messenger or whatever.
Right.
And then I'll have it. And maybe next week you will be featured as our selfie of the week.
All right, so we're continuing our series on Find Your People. And so here we go. The message will begin with this.
In a world that's both more connected and more isolated than ever before, we're often tempted to do life alone, either because we're so busy or because relationships feel risky and hard. But science confirms what faith communities have always known, that consistent, meaningful connection with others has a powerful impact on our well-being. We are meant to live known and loved, but so many are hiding behind emotional walls that we're experiencing an epidemic of loneliness. Join us in this 4-week series to help you find your people.
So one of the things that I have learned in the last year, really, I mean, before that, but like in the last year, I've been working with a coach, and he has I forgot the clicker, guys. I forgot the clicker. Okay, here we go. Is the difference between recognized and known. The difference in being recognized versus being known. So my goal in South Lansing is that I would go beyond being recognized as Mikkel White, pastor of Sycamore Creek, South Lansing, to being known for like my values and who I am and how I am in the world. And that's also my goal for our church, that we wouldn't just be recognized in the community, but that we would be known. And it's actually really difficult. Like, it's easy to show up in lots of places and for people to recognize me or to recognize us. Oh, they've seen our logo, they've seen the brand, they've seen some social media posts. But do they know who we are? Do they know what we're about? Now, this is one of the reasons that, like, I try to go to Rio Town quite a bit in South Lansing. Did you know, by the way, that all of our pastors have hangouts like once a month? We'll show up at a coffee shop or at a bar, and you can come and just hang out with us for an hour or two. We call it like coffee with a pastor or pastor in a pub or something like that. I go to Ellison's for the pub nights, and I go to Blue Owl for the coffee shop time, and both of them are in Rio Town. Now, I have only been here in South Lansing for a year, so I'm giving myself a lot of grace to know that this takes time. It just takes a lot of time. And so I'm still working on being recognized in the community, but the long-term goal is that I would be known as well. And I've also joined the Scottwoods Neighborhood Association meeting. So Scottwoods is the neighborhood right here behind us that Sycamore Creek is in. Is also where my family lives. And yesterday they had a lunch, like a fall neighborhood lunch, that was a lot of fun. And I met a lot of people that I had never met before. And honestly, I was like thankful that they were not all my parents' age. Not that I mind hanging out with people who are older than me, but it was nice to see some people who had kids that were like my kids' ages and like, oh, maybe our kids could hang out together, they could ride bikes or something like that. And like I said, I'm thankful to know that this is a slow journey and like I'm on the path to being recognized and to being known. Now, hundreds of years ago, the task of daily life were lived out in community. Like you just lived and worked and did all your stuff, all of your living in one place, in one geographic location. Your church was whatever church was in your neighborhood. Your work was whatever was there. And things changed with the Industrial Revolution and factories and then commuting and we can't really forget redlining, and like there was all kinds of things that contributed to the reality that we don't always live where our lives are, you know? And so now there's this disconnect, and we're recognized by many people, but we're not known. So we've centered this current series is Find Your People on a key scripture that we've been talking about. We're using Pastor Tom's translation of a verse from Genesis to remind us that it's not good for the human to be alone. Now, in case you've forgotten, you're all humans, and it's not good for you to be alone. It's not good for any of us to be alone. We're made for belonging. Now, this series is based on a book by Jenny Allen. It's called Find Your People. We do have copies of it in our micro bookstore. If you're interested in exploring this more or reading what she has to say. Now, I gotta admit that I find a lot of what she says to be helpful, and I don't agree with all of it. And I like that as a church, we engage with different kinds of material, and some of it I agree with most of it, and some of it I agree with a good amount. So in this series, we're doing what we keep talking about. We're keeping the best and leaving the rest. You see it says, keep the best of faith and leave the rest. That's what we're doing here at Sycamore Creek. And in this series, we're keeping the best of this book and leaving the rest. So today we're going to go over the final two practices that Jenny Allen talks about. She builds this path to connection. And last week we talked about the first three: proximity, transparency, and accountability. We talked about how you need to live close to people. Like, you need to look for the people you actually see in your day-to-day life and build connection with them. We talked about how transparency and accountability are sort of two sides of the same coin. They're letting people see who you really are and letting people ask you questions about that. And today we're going to be talking about purpose and consistency. And in a way, we're talking about finding your people through depth and commitment. So purpose is related to depth, and commitment is related to consistency. So each of these things, depth and commitment, for each of these things, there's a goal that we're moving toward. And there's a barrier that keeps us from reaching that goal. So we find our people through depth, which is really a shared purpose, right? So like purpose and consistency, depth, commitment, there's like a parallel thing happening here. And as I mentioned before, it's possible for us to go through our lives, through our day-to-day lives, interacting with lots of different people and to still feel isolated, to still feel alone, to be lonely, even in the midst of people. This happens when we go to work or to school, when we're in activities, when we run errands. We don't have closeness with the people who are part of those settings. I mean, I don't know most of the people at the grocery store. So even though I'm surrounded by people, I'm alone in some ways, right? I'm lonely. Now, the reality is that there are people all around us who we could share purpose with if we wanted to, or if we were intentional, if we tried. Now, I want to be clear today that I'm not telling you to go out and make a bunch of new friends. Like, I'm not telling you that you need to go out and find a bunch of new people. I'm suggesting that there are people already in your life that you could go deeper with. So you could ask yourself things like, who are your neighbors? Who do you regularly interact with? It's not really about getting to know more people. It's about getting to know people better. It's moving from being recognized to being known. So think about what you're doing right now in this season of your life. I'll tell you, for us, my son just joined the cross-country team. And that's kind of a big deal. There's a lot of reasons that it feels like a really big deal to us. But what that means is that I'm driving him to practice, and then I'm sitting and watching him practice, which, by the way, all right, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, so I'm sitting there watching him practice, and then he had his first meet, his first race this past week. And so we're there, and we're surrounded by other parents and families. There's other racers, runners. Yeah, anyways, there's other people on the team. There are other coaches. We're seeing people, and we have a shared purpose. We're cheering these kids on together. There's opportunities there for us to connect with people and to get to know them. I can't really get to know all of them, but I could probably pick one or two people and get to know them and connect with them. And this example of cross-country, it brings up an important point, right? Because people unite around a shared purpose. I mean, we've all been at a sporting event, right? Where like everyone is wearing the same colors and knows the same chants and the same cheers. You're united around a shared purpose. And when we unite around a shared purpose, we might have different gifts and talents and abilities and roles, but each one of us is playing a part in accomplishing something. And when we function together at our best as human beings, no one role is more important than any other. They're all part of helping us accomplish something. So one of the things that we do here at Sycamore Creek is that we'll pause throughout our message to give you a chance to think and process and reflect. We call them chat questions. So if you're joining us online, you can put your answer in the chat. And if you're here, you can just turn to someone around you and think about this question. What settings are you currently in where there are people that you could get to know better? Take a minute and talk about it.
We both were interested. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Shelly, well, you were just saying that after last week, what'd you do?
Yeah, after last week's message, there were a couple people that I felt like I just really wanted to spend some time getting to know better. And so I reached out to them. And luckily, they both said, yeah, they would be happy to do that. And so, and one of them actually wrote me a text this week and said, you know, I really appreciate you taking the initiative because that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not as comfortable doing that. And so keep that in mind too.
Yeah, it is really risky, or it feels risky to initiate, but then I stop and think about it sometimes, and I'm like, what is the worst that could happen? They say, I don't actually like you, and I don't want to spend time with you, but
Thank Lord they didn't do that.
probably no one's gonna do that. They're, they might say, hey, I'm really busy right now. I just don't think that I can make space in my life for that, but I can handle that. I know what it's like to be busy.
Yes.
And
they were people that, I've interacted with before. They're people that we've kind of chatted about getting together, but how you just don't make it happen. And so it's like, I need to act on this. And so they were kind of safe people to go to.
Right.
But
so you found whatever setting they were in, you found people that you wanted to get to know better and to go deeper with.
Yes.
That's awesome. So we're going to continue with our message. The next segment is actually going to be a video segment, and we're going to hear from Pastor Mark, who is our pastor over in Potterville.
So we've already talked about how in the beginning, God made humans to be in community. It's not good for the human being to be alone. From the beginning, God also made humans for purpose. Genesis, the book of the Bible about beginnings, also tells us that God blessed them, that is humans, and said to them, be fertile and multiply, fill the earth and master it. It's a reminder that we are made to care for our earth and to cultivate it. Take charge of the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky, and everything crawling on the ground. As humans, we are partners with God working toward the flourishing of our earth. It's embedded in us to be filled with purpose. And if we follow Jesus, well, our lives take on added purpose and meaning. To his first disciples, Jesus said, go and make more disciples. So as we grow in our love of God and of those around us, we also share that love with others. It's our purpose. So the local church, the group of people that follow Jesus, we live out this purpose and meaning together to go and make more disciples. God gives us a shared purpose, along with the gifts that allow us to depend on each other to accomplish that purpose. We were made for connection through a shared purpose. And the thing about friendship that we often miss is that it's not all about us. The most satisfying relationships that we'll have are centered on something bigger than the relationship itself. Purpose and mission go hand in hand. And if you are a follower of Jesus, well, you have a built-in purpose or mission that's bigger than your school or your job or your neighborhood or your family. You have a purpose to share the love of God. And the cool thing is that you have a team of people available to pursue this purpose with you. Sycamore Creek Church, our mission, our purpose is to ignite authentic life in Christ and fan it into an all-consuming flame. And we want to do that together with you. Now, as we pursue our mission, it brings us together with a shared purpose. That pursuit of our mission, well, it's really led by our pastors. I expect that I've given more than most of you to the mission of Sycamore Creek Church. I'm all in on our church and our mission. I give my time, a lot of it. I give my thoughts, a lot of them. I give my effort. I give my money. I bring my family into our mission. And I've given up other things that I could be doing, the largest being a breast cancer research career that I left to become a pastor. And in the midst of pursuing the mission of Sycamore Creek, I'm super grateful that we're a multi-site church where I work alongside other pastors, Mikkel and Tom. They're right there with me in their commitment to our church and to our mission. I pastor with Tom and Mikkel, and our shared purpose as pastors of Sycamore Creek Church, but it also gives us the opportunity for deep friendship through that shared purpose. Now, Mikkel and Tom and I, we do have that shared purpose, but friendship still requires that we go deeper than shallow talk with each other. So each month, the three of us schedule a no-work talk evening gathering that we call Clergy Night Out. In June, we went to see Jesus Christ Superstar together at the Wharton, and we spent time together before and after that show just hanging out. Our work is improved through friendship and through the intersection of relationship and purpose. Now, returning again to this idea of work, our work is really important. And many of us have lost sight of that. Your work, whatever it is, it's important. You contribute to our society's functioning. At its best, work is meant to bring fulfillment and to promote thriving for the people that we love and know. And it's important to be compensated for that contributing to our society, but work is less about just earning a paycheck, and it's more about in some way contributing to human thriving. Now, there are so many ways that human thriving can be accomplished, and your work in that thriving matters. Now, for many of us to think this way, that's a perspective shift. And here's the shift. What if whatever you are involved in becomes a mission field, and the people in those places become your teammates? Whatever you are involved in, it could be school, it can be work, it can be neighborhoods, it can be doctor visits, and it can be going out to eat, it could be buying groceries. Again, if whatever you are involved in, well, thinking this way, this has the potential to transform whole areas of our lives, to give them added meaning and purpose and connection. And again, here's this perspective shift summarized. Anywhere can become a place to carry out our mission, and anyone can become our teammates. So what are you currently doing? Who in those spaces or places can you cultivate relationships with? Who can you invite into what you're currently doing? Anywhere can become a place to carry out your mission, and anyone can become your teammates. And if you're not doing anything right now, and this isn't for all of you, if you're not doing anything right now, I want to challenge you. Listen to what Paul wrote to the church at Thessalonica. Yet we hear that some of you are living idle lives, refusing to work and meddling in other people's business. We command such people and urge them in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ to settle down and work to earn their own living. As for the rest of you, dear brothers and sisters, never get tired of doing good. Here's the summary of what Paul is saying. Do something. Do something. We were made for purpose and connectedness through that purpose. Live your life on a mission to share God's love. And that's not just a Sunday morning worship thing. This is an every day of the week thing. This is an every moment of our lives thing. When we live our lives with purpose with other people, we cut through the recognition and we move towards something deeper, being known. Find your people through the depth of shared purpose. Now, Sycamore Creek is a great place to find that shared purpose, and a great way to find people is in small groups. I want to encourage you to get connected with a group or an event and use those opportunities to move beyond shallow small talk to something deeper through shared purpose. Now, as you get to know people more deeply, another huge barrier is going to come up, conflict. Our goal is the consistency that comes from commitment, but the barrier to commitment and consistency is conflict. If you are in just about any relationship, there will come a time when you are faced with a decision of whether to continue in the relationship or bail out of it. I'm done. And this isn't a decision you just make once and then you're committed forever to each other. It's a decision that we face every time we have conflict in a relationship. Conflict can keep us from finding our people. Now, there are lots of ways that we can respond to conflict. We can self-protect in conflict. We can be very adaptive. We can blame the other person for the conflict. We can pull back. We can walk away. We can ignore the conflict. Or we can do the difficult work of loving each other through conflict. This is such difficult work. It's challenging to love someone through seeking understanding. And it's possible. It's possible to love through staying and working through hurts and through forgiveness and through repentance and through repair. Conflict gives us an incredible opportunity to deepen our relationships if we don't run. Because in conflict, we have the opportunity to grow. As Jenny Allen writes, conflict isn't the enemy to our friendships. Conflict is fodder to make them grow. Now, as we switch gears here and get into conflict, let's pause to reflect on conflict a bit. Think about your relationships and how you approach conflict. And then turn to someone around you and put it in the chat. Answer this question. What are your thoughts on conflict? Can it be a good thing? Let's discuss that.
So I kind of feel like if we're avoiding conflict, a lot of times it's because we are trying to maintain the status quo. Yeah. And sometimes the status quo really needs to be disrupted.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. And conflict, like, it doesn't have to be terrible.
No. It might be uncomfortable.
A lot of times it's uncomfortable.
But I see advantages in it. I get to learn maybe new perspective, get to understand a person better. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it doesn't move me to a different place. You know, we still are on those different pages. But then other times I take it away and I think about it and process it and I kind of blend what that person thinks or feels with mine.
Yeah.
And so we get closer to
Yeah.
the same place.
I also think it's just an interesting thought experiment to like define conflict. Because I think different people define it in different ways. Like, this isn't, I don't have a script for this. I don't 100% know where I'm going, but like, there can be times that you're like, conflict is saying, you hurt me, and we need to talk about this. And sometimes you might not call this conflict, but it can be, I believe in original sin. I don't believe in original sin. Let's talk about it. And like, it's a robust conversation, you know, like,
Yeah.
now those are fun to me.
Yes.
I really enjoy those, especially
Yes.
when they're respectful and like, you want to hear from each other and learn from each other, but some of the other ones,
Yeah.
I don't love.
And I've had, I've been hurt probably like most people from some conflicts in my life.
Yeah.
And there is a time that you need to exit.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
I try not to do that, but it
shouldn't-
does happen.
It doesn't need to be your first
No.
response, but sometimes it's the right response. We're actually going to keep talking about that as we continue with this next segment.
Okay.
All right. I'm trying to juggle a few different things with my hands here. All right. So we've said before, and I'll say it again, at Sycamore Creek Church, conflict is inevitable in community. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in your church, in our church. It's going to happen in your home. It's going to happen in your family. It's going to happen in your closest relationships. It will happen. And when handled biblically, like according to God's wisdom, it can strengthen and deepen our relationships. Relational health is not the absence of conflict. It's working through conflict together. Something that has come up, like I've been in therapy the past few months, and my therapist keeps saying, a healthy relationship is not free of conflict. A healthy relationship is one that has repair, that does good repair work, that's able to acknowledge I've done harm and like work to fix it. So God wants a close personal relationship with us. And God wants us to have close personal relationships with other people. Maybe not with everyone, but with a few close people, because it's not good for the human to be alone. Close relationships involve letting people in to our daily lives, into our deepest struggles, into the places where we've missed the mark and we need to do that repair work, into our routines, into our like dreams. What are you dreaming about right now? And when we do that, when we begin to live that out, we actually, maybe on accident, begin to live out some of these biblical principles, like encourage one another and build each other up. Bear one another's burdens. Comfort one another. Confess your sins to one another. Forgive one another. How are you doing with those instructions from the Bible? Are those verses ones that you're actually living out? Or do you kind of just read them and you're like, oh, that's some pretty good advice, and then keep going? I mean, in order to live out those instructions, you have to be close to someone. You have to like engage with other people. You can't do this, again, you can't do this with everybody. I'm not saying that you should, but you should have a few close people that you're working through this. And in order to make that close relationship work, you're going to be faced with that choice to stay through the conflicts, through the hard times, or not. And when you choose to stay, that's commitment. When we're close to people, we are going to get hurt, and we're going to hurt other people. Now, not that long ago, I was in a church vision meeting. So that's like the leadership of the church. There's the 3 pastors and a few other people who are part of developing the vision for the church. And we had a robust conversation. It was a conflict. And there was some misunderstanding, and some emotions got charged. And we do this thing, if you've been in some of our meetings before, you've experienced this. It can be a little weird at first, where we stop and say, all right, what went well? in this meeting? And then we say, what was missing or confusing or needs improvement? It's an opportunity for us to check in with each other before we leave the meeting to see if something needs to be addressed. And so at the end of this vision meeting, we stopped and we repaired and we said, okay, I think you didn't really hear me. Well, we didn't revisit the content of the discussion, but we did talk about how we had the discussion. And there were some apologies that were made and some repair happened. And that's the kind of thing that we're talking about, because we are going to get hurt. We are going to have conflict. And this uncomfortable truth is that hurt is part of health. When we're close to people, there is going to be pain in that closeness. The more you open yourself up to love, the more you're going to be open to hurt. That's worth it, but it's really, really hard. And I do want to take a moment to clarify something, that what we're talking about right now is not abuse. Okay, that's not what we're talking about, where a toxic relationship where one person is never willing to take responsibility or do that repair work or change their behavior. That's not what we're talking about. There are relationships where you can have hurt that is not abuse. And if you are in a toxic relationship, if you are in an abusive relationship, then please get safe and let us know how we can support you. Knowing that it's worth it to have these relationships that are marked by pain but not abuse. Knowing it's worth it doesn't take away that pain. It doesn't make the pain any less. And many of us, probably most of us, have suffered at some point in the past. And now we're faced with the choice of trying again, of risking that pain again. That pain can be raw and real and deep. And the truth is that the church isn't immune to this. I really wish it was. I really wish that I could tell you that if you've experienced that pain, you should just go to church and then you'll find all the answers. But the church is not immune to this. Which takes us back to the reality that sharing relationships where God is at the center and we're united in a shared mission. If we look to relationships, even relationships within the church, to heal us, it's just not going to work. And people-pleasing, pride, personal happiness, it creeps in when we're not centering our lives on God. It's only when our lives are centered on God that we can be free enough and loving enough and humble enough to healthfully navigate our relationships. It requires a perspective shift. So again, what we're talking about here is conflict, not abuse. And the truth is that healthy relationships have healthy conflict. And that can give us a posture of engaging with conflict with humility. Because we don't have to run from it. We can healthfully navigate it. So let's go over a couple of quick tips for having healthy conflict. All right. So assuming the best in those close to us. Right? Now, that doesn't mean you don't have hard conversations or ask questions, but it's like not jumping to the conclusion that their intention was bad. Right? Keep short accounts, which is that a churchy thing to say? Maybe that's a churchy thing to say, that's like, check in with people. Don't let your list of things that are bothering you just grow and grow and grow. Like, go to the person and talk to them about it before the list gets really, really long. Be quick to apologize. So this is not about like taking ownership for all the things, but just like, oh gosh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Like, I'm sorry that hurt your feelings. Or like, yeah, I messed that up. I didn't do that. Aim to be a peacemaker. Did you know that peacemaking is different than peacekeeping? Peacekeeping is about holding on to the status quo. Peacemaking requires some creativity. It requires some sacrifice. This also means, like, don't just wait for the conflict to come to you. Don't let other people be the only people that initiate these hard conversations. Be willing to go to someone and actively make peace with them by having that hard conversation. As Paul said if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. So sometimes it's not possible to live at peace with everyone because not everyone wants to live at peace with us. But if possible, as much as it does depend on you, do your best to live at peace with people. The challenge before us when it comes to depth and commitment is to prioritize our relationships over and over and over, because we're going to miscommunicate. We're going to be hurt. We will hurt someone else, and we'll inconvenience each other. And there's this temptation in the messiness of our relationships to quit, to give up. There's a temptation to settle for just being recognized and not worry about being known. So in the midst of this challenge, we get to choose. We choose whether or not to be inconvenienced for the sake of each other. Because let's be honest, people are inconvenient. I know. People are inconvenient, and relationships will inconvenience you. Whew. And the relationships are full of laughter and joy and hopes and dreams. They're also inconvenient. But we need to push through the inconvenience in order to experience those benefits of relationships. We need those things. Jenny Allen writes, to leave behind our loneliness and enjoy the reward of community, we have to keep showing up, keep being vulnerable, keep coming to the table, be together, work together, and share life together over and over again. And then one day, probably sometime in the future, right, we look up and realize our friendships have grown deep. Over and over and over again. That's kind of our last thought for today. Close relationships, they take time. If you've been married for a long time, you know that what you knew about your spouse when you first got married is different than what you know about them now, 10 years later, 15, 20, 30. Close relationships take time. And we'll not have the friendships that we long for, the ones that have depth and commitment without a significant amount of time spent together. It takes time to feel connected and known. It takes time to work through the conflict. So if today you aren't feeling particularly close to someone and you want to be closer to them, the simple answer is to spend more time with them. Faithfully put in the time together to build that deeper relationship. Put in the effort to go beyond the small talk and pursue shared purpose. Now, some of the times that I've felt closest to people is when we've been working through conflict together. When a team has taken time to build trust, they don't always have to agree. Like when I talked about the vision team meeting earlier, the repair work that happened after the conflict, it built a lot of trust. It let me know that I could show up as my full self with my questions, that I'm not always padding and handling other people's emotions. I can just ask my questions and it can be okay. We keep showing up in our shared purpose of bringing our community together. So I want to encourage you today to find your people through showing up again and again and again. A huge reason that many of us are lonely is because we've given up. We've given up on finding people, on having that connection. We just thought, it's probably never going to happen for me. So I hope today you're able to take another chance, that you'll take some time. You'll recognize, it's probably not going to happen in one day. It might take years. It's going to take time to build those close relationships. If you're still wondering, really, really practically what to do, I really want to encourage you to sign up for a small group today. We have a groups and events catalog that was in your program. So even if you're not ready for a small group, maybe you're ready for an event. Also, by the way, if you're just curious what's going to happen in the next few months, look through the groups and events catalog because there's some stuff in there. You could also reach out to someone at work. You could talk to someone at your kid's cross-country race, right? Probably I'm the only one who has that, but maybe you do. Or there's something else. You could strike up a conversation with your neighbor while you're both doing yard work. There's lots of different places that you can connect with people. And so I hope that today you'll go forth and find your people. We're going to talk about some ways that we can connect with each other. And I've got to move. Hold on just a second.
Okay, if you can pull back out the connection card and turn it over, there are some next steps there. Like Mikal mentioned, signing up for any group or events that you're interested in. Go ahead.
Did anybody see this
Oh.
nice booklet?
Yes, very
Yes.
nice.
Oh, Bob Trout has one. Way to go. Overachiever. All right. So if you sign up for a group, then you should pick one of these up. Most of our groups are doing this study. So it's in the cafe on the table. Just grab one of those on your way out.
Yeah. And there are other groups and there are events. And like Mikal said, look at the events. They will tell you what's happening at Sycamore Creek Church for the next 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
So be sure to do that. But then there's a couple other that relate to this message today. You know, is there somebody you want to reach out to that you've been thinking about? You know, is there a conflict that is worth resolving in your life? And then, of course, we got the art fair here. I think our little yard sign up here. That's coming up. We need volunteers. Tiffany was telling me earlier we have like 30 vendors coming. How exciting. That's like 10 more
so
than
pumped.
last year. So, and we want to have these signs out. So if any of you live in this neighborhood around here, we'd love to have you pick one of these up and take it home with you and put it in your yard today.
Yeah. And you know what's cool about these signs is that on the back of them, it has the day and the time, but it says first Sunday in October. It doesn't say October 1st. So we can use this every year. So if you take one of these, don't throw it away. Bring it back or store it in your garage or whatever. But that's what we're doing with that. So make sure to grab one of those.
Yes.
On that same day is Eastwood's grand opening. So exciting. Yes, we can cheer. Okay. Yeah, woo! Woo! And actually, there are events happening that whole weekend. Some of them are sponsored by Sycamore Creek Church. Some of them are sponsored by Stage 1, which is the new Performing Arts Center that will be housed at Eastwood. So, it's so exciting. And, like, that's why some of them cost some money, both because it's a really, really good event and also because they're not all sponsored by our church. So it's a little bit of give and take. And these events are all happening on the same day. There's also Pumpkin Palooza in Potterville because they're designed to reach our community. They're actually not designed for us as Sycamore Creek church goers. They're designed for the community. And so if you really want to go and support Eastwood's grand opening, I would encourage you to go on Thursday or Friday or Saturday, and then show up here on Sunday and volunteer and help us reach the community of South Lansing. We want to celebrate our giving. There's lots of ways to give. You can sign the QR code here. We have an envelope in the program. You can give online. You can set up recurring. However you choose to give, we're so thankful because your giving helps us do all kinds of things, including the South Lansing Arts Festival. This is a throwback from last year. This is what it looked like. This is where I met Nichelle from Social Light Society, which is so fun. We gave away a whole bunch of pumpkins. We have pumpkins coming back this year. Also, let's celebrate that South Pennsylvania doesn't look like that anymore.
Yes.
Is anybody else relieved that, like, that's done? And so many people came. So many people like heard the music from their homes around the neighborhood and said, I want to go see what that's all about. So that's what it's all about, yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm just thankful for all the ways that you give and all the ways that you help us reach our community.
Yes.
We have one more song this morning, and before we get quite to that, summer officially ends this week. So what is your favorite fall activity? Football. You know what? Hockey starts in like a month. I'm really looking forward to that. Go Hurricanes. That's exactly right. Yes. Not the football team, the hockey team, just in case anybody was wondering.
I like that we have beautiful sunshine, but not so much heat.
And the mosquitoes can die.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, that would be very good too.
Guys, I just go through like outside and I get welts all over me. It's so bad. All right, so we've got one more song. Let's worship together.
Awesome. When the chorus comes, it's just two sentences. Be big, be bold. If you want to repeat after me, you don't have to. Feel free, you can clap your hands if you want. We can do that. Hey. I always had big dreams, even when I was a small fry. I always had the best flow, even when my pockets were all dry. They told us don't take space, cause that won't be the right move. I see them try to save face, and I don't really like being lied to. Always been a bit different, had a little bop to my own drum. Always been a bit gifted, never forgot where I came from. See, you don't have to fit in, it's okay you can stand out. I'ma stick to my vision, now let me see how it pans out. They gon' keep on trying to tell you play small. I know that your giants, they can look tall. You see all they tricks and look, we can't fall. Honestly, you shouldn't listen at all. You should just be big, be bold, be big, be bold, be big, be bold, be big, be bold. See, you're one of a kind. Don't listen to none of their lines. Don't it sound so strange? They stay the same, but they tell you to change. Those type of moves so heinous. Throw stones and they try to act blameless. That's the type of action that's dangerous. Honestly, you can't even hang with. See, you special and I like that. Conformity, we gon' fight that. If they count me out, I'll be right back. If they count me out, I'll be right back. To doing my thing, cause I do it so well. Hope you doing your thing. You got a story to tell. They gon' keep on trying to tell you play small. I know that your giants, they can look tall. You see all they tricks and look, we can't fall. Honestly, you shouldn't listen at all. You should just be big, be bold, be big, be bold, be big, be bold, be big, be bold. If you want to repeat after me, say, be big, be bold, be big, be bold, be big. That sound good. Be bold, be big, be bold. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope that you'll come back next week as we can finish up our series, actually. Tiffany will be preaching for us on fighting for your village. Fighting for your village is going to be a great message. And so until then, be curious, be creative, and be compassionate. Be at peace.